I'm about to start and go live. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is Neil Martin. This is the Real Deal Chat with Neil. And I hope I have a few people joining me today because today is going to be a special show. Let me make certain that I am alive and clear, that everyone can see me and that they can hear me. So I'm going to do a couple of tests before we start to ensure that I am live. So if you hear echo, it's just me. Okay, so let me just verify this and start the show. Let's see. Let me just verify this and all right. So start the show. Let's see. Oh, 1 second here. I'm just going to verify. All right. So welcome to A Real Deal Chat with Neil. Let me just share this on my main page. Does marriage have the same value and importance as it has always been with our ancestors to the modern age? So we're going to begin our show now. Just waiting for a couple more people to come on, and then we'll move forward. Okay. All right. So I posted it on my chat, on my Facebook page, and forward it. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me get off my page here. Okay. So we're live. Welcome to our show. I am super excited to talk about this today. This is something if you know my show and the subject of my show, the subject of my content, it's usually to promote a two-family household, marriage, and progressive, flourishing relationships. It's something that I don't see many people promoting in this day and age because everybody sees it as an archaic thing, an antiquated thing that most people shouldn't even deal with anymore, especially millennials. They don't believe in it. And from what I've seen, the numbers in marriage and two-family households have diminished to the point where now we're asking, does marriage hold the same value and the same importance as it did for our ancestors, for our parents and our parents' parents? And why would somebody get married in this day and age? I look around nowadays and I see people out there, they get excited when somebody gets married. They get all the congratulations. They'll send you all these kind of messages about, oh, they're so happy for you. And a lot of these people who will send out these messages will be showing their whole, I am so supportive of marriage. A lot of them aren't married. A lot of them, they just aren't. They're trying to go find someone to marry, or they'll shack up for as long as possible. So my question is, if everybody gets so excited to see other people get married, why aren't there more married couples out there trying to get hitched? Single people out there trying to get hitched, especially millennials. Let me just put that on here. Just give me a second. Let me just put that to scroll across my screen here. Does marriage hold the same value it did for today that it did for our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents? Some of us have grandparents that has been married for decades. I personally had my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side were together for 70 plus years. And I look back at them and how they dealt with things, and I remember them having disagreements. I remember them, my grandfather, fussing a little bit or making a little comments here and there, mumbling how she gets on his nerve. But I've never heard or remembered any of them saying that it's time to go. It's time to leave. And it's not like they had kids that were living with them. They had 14 kids, quite early, but they had 14 kids, 13 that grew up, got married, moved out, had their own families. So what was the difference? Why does our grandparents, our parents, what do they see in the value of marriage that in this day and age is somehow missing? What are they doing? I mean, you would think things would be better now because let's be honest, financially things are better than the olden days. In some cases, emotionally, you would say people are more in touch with their emotions. I would say even gender roles have changed a bit since then. No one can't say that we're not in the best time in the history of our race, if you want to put race as a factor, ever in the history of being black or, being from the Caribbean. So what has really changed? I mean, why is it so hard that people nowadays don't see the value of marriage and relationships and building together like they did, like our grandparents did and our grandparents did, where they were together for like 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years. In case of my grandfather and grandmother, 70, I believe 72 years. And they died in their 90s, 2 or 3 years apart. They raised 14, 13 that stayed, that were like, one died very young, but 14 children, about 160 grandchildren that I can remember. And how many great and great grandkids? I mean, I have a grandchild now, and that would be my grandparents' great grandchild. So they left a legacy behind that we somehow seem to be failing at. For some reason, we just can't seem to get it right. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Does marriage hold the same value today as it did with our ancestors? And that is the topic of our show. And that's what we're going to talk today about on A Real Deal Chat with Neil. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Welcome to A Real Deal Chat with Neil. Thanks for joining me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to A Real Deal Chat with me, Neil. Neil. I know some of you are, on Facebook doing have nothing better to do, and I appreciate even if you spend a little time just to hear what I have to say, what I have to share. Comment in the comment section. You're free to comment. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Today's topic, we're gonna talk about marriage and why. Why do we do this? Before I start, house rules on A Real Deal Chat with Neil. You know how I do it. When we talk about the rules. We talk about the majority. So when I say something and I say men or women do this, I'm speaking about the majority of men. I know there are exceptions, but exceptions don't create the rules. The rule creates the rule. So when I speak, I'm speaking about the rule. You don't have to tell me, but Neil, there's at least 5% over there that don't think that way. Well, we're talking about the 95 because the 95 sets the rules. Also, we deal with facts and figures and logic, not feelings. There's a place for feelings. And when we're talking about the facts, we can talk about the feelings, but we do not mix the two. Okay? Something that I do on all my shows, if you've seen it, and yeah, if you haven't, I always do my pledge. My pledge is to you as a person who pay attention to, spend the time with my show. I make a commitment to you that how I'm going to run this show. And I tell you the type of person I am. This is my pledge to you, my viewers, and those who are paying attention to this show. So here it is. And I read this on every show if you haven't paid attention. I am a human being. I am not better, nor smarter, nor greater than any other human being on earth. I am just a man, one with frailties and flaws like all human beings on this planet. I have never had a perfect life, but I have been fortunate to have experiences that have molded me, and even more fortunate to learn from those experiences. I don't know everything, and because I don't know everything, I'm always willing to learn from those willing to teach me. I am on this journey to be the best version of myself, and part of that journey includes me sharing what I have learned over the years, and my hope is you're willing to embark on this journey with me to be the best version of you. So welcome again to a Real Deal Chat with Neil, and so let's get the show on the road. So we're talking about marriage. Like every single year, ladies and gentlemen, in America, 2,077,000 couples make a legal, sometimes spiritual, sometimes even financial decision to get married and spend the rest of their lives together. At least that's their intent. Their intent is to get together, right? He buys a ring. She goes out and buy a dress. Call all her friends and say, hey, girl, he went on one knee, and he's ready to pop that. He popped that crescent. He's ready to lock me down for life. Then you call all your friends, and your friends call your friends, and you call your parents and your family. Everybody's so excited about you getting married, ladies. The guys, friends look at him and, sure you want to do this, brother? Okay, good. Yo, she's a good woman. Let's get it done. And then you save your money. If you don't have any money, you borrow it, more than likely. And you spend anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. The average wedding in America costs about $30,000 a year per couple. I know mine cost about that. I remember it cost a little bit over $30,000 for the wedding that we threw. Then the big day comes, right? Big day comes. You vow to each other that nothing will ever come between us, to the eyes of God and the people who are watching. We are going to be committed to each other forever. We're going to get married. We're going to have this big, nice family. Our friends, our village are going to look out for us. Not poverty, not illness, not the threat of another person coming in and making your lives miserable, meaning cheating. None of that exists in marriage, because the day of the marriage, it's the most blissful day ever. Everybody gets excited. Everybody. Thanks, Q. Big up on Q. Congratulations on the young one. Big Daddy. You know what I mean? The fatherhood thing, man, when it comes to little girls, tough, brother. But congratulations, cousin Q. So that day comes, you're married, everybody's, throwing the rice, they're hitting that little glass. Congratulations, they want to see you kiss. You're happy. You feel nothing can ever come between us because you and I were meant to be. You're my Boaz. And she is your queen. The one that's set for you for life. You remember, everybody who started in a marriage always think there's nothing that can affect us and come between us. So your approach to marriage is almost a naive bliss. A fantasy world that you and you alone live in, that you alone will only understand. Because the facts of life and the facts of marriage is typically different. And if most people were read those facts on the day they are getting married, on the day that you're standing on that altar, before your God and your friends and your family, If the facts about marriage and the realities of what relationships go through in the first 3 to 7 years of marriage were read to you out aloud, a lot of you would look at each other and say, why don't we just shack up for a few more years instead of go through this hell? If a lot of people were read the realities of what really happens in marriage and the years that follow, a lot of you would be scared. S-less, you know what I mean. See, all these naive individuals believe that everything should work itself out because we got that kind of love. You know what I mean? They hear the songs. You know, if you're from my era, you know the Luther, Guy, the groups, the different groups, the R. Kelly songs too. Why not? And those songs make you think that love lasts forever. Make it last forever. You know that Keith Sweat song? Yeah. They all think this is going to last forever. There's no way. Come on, look at us. We are like the perfect match. I hear people tell me all the time, Neil, you're so fortunate. You found your perfect match. You and Anna could never break apart because you got that perfect match. I'm here to bust a lot of your bubbles right now. There is no such thing. It does not exist. It is a fantasy put out by Disney World and these silly soap operas and these silly novels back in the days, those romantic novels, and these these movies, these romantic comedies that tell you this shit is gonna last forever. But it never does. It never does, ladies and gentlemen. Even if you stay together for 40, 50 years, my parents who lived a lifetime, they didn't even last forever. One died before the other. It was rough. It was rough on them. It wasn't easy. See, everybody thinks 70 years. Oh my God, your grandparents stayed 7 years. They must be the happiest. No, they weren't happy all the time, but they knew it. They knew they weren't supposed to be happy all the time. They weren't rich to stay together, but they knew it. They knew they're not supposed to be rich to stay together. They weren't the best looking couple. In fact, I think my grandfather was almost about 6 feet something, and my grandmother was like 4 feet 2. No lie. I can show you a picture. I wish I had a picture. I should have posted it tonight. But they knew it. They knew they weren't supposed to look best together. They didn't stop because of illness. They didn't think, oh, she got to stay healthy and he has to stay healthy. Because they knew it. At any time, anyone can get sick. And I'm sure there are times when my grandfather got sick and my grandmother got sick, but they knew it. See, my grandparents knew in that 70 years, that's the one thing that's missing today. In that 70 years that they were together, my grandparents knew of one thing. This won't be perfect. I don't expect it to be perfect. I don't, probably in some cases, they're probably telling each other. But they stayed together. In fact, I'll go even further that most people don't know. My grandmother had a child prior to my grandfather. Yes. My grandfather back in the early 20s, 1920s, I believe, married a woman with a child. My grandmother had a child at 14. And she got married, I believe it was 17 or 18, 16, around that time. They were a few years apart, not much. But he married her. And 70 years later, they're still together now. Why is that? They weren't rich. My grandparents weren't rich. My grandfather was a hard worker, bought land, worked hard, went to Cuba, worked hard, came back, created a legacy for his family. We have land in Jamaica because of it. Raised 13, 14 kids. One wasn't his, but he raised her. See, I grew up seeing my aunt and had no idea she belonged to my grandmother. I actually thought my aunt, the eldest one, belonged to my grandfather. The way they were so close, honestly, it amazed me to know that my grandmother was the bearer of my my aunt. Couldn't tell. Could not tell for anything because again, even my aunt and my grandmother, they look close in age. It's probably where I got my youthful looks. But my point is this. None of what you see today that people complain about and people have in terms of expectations, none of that mattered. And it's not like it didn't exist. They didn't have all the luxuries we have today and a lot of the choices, a lot of the options. They didn't have it. They had it worse. So when I hear people talk about, oh, well, I can't get married because I don't have the money. I need to be more stable. I need to have this. I have that. It's a bunch of crap and nonsense. And there's one factor and one fact that I've come up with that I truly understand about this day and age. It's this. Yes, times have changed. Yes, we have more. We're given more. And we have more opportunities. But one thing that is absolutely certain in my eyes is that we have been lazy as hell when it comes to taking care of each other and taking care of our marriage. Nobody wants to work. They all tell you, oh, more opportunities and we can work and this and we can make money and all. The more we have had the opportunity to get ahead in life, it's the lazier we have gotten into taking care of each other and actually wanting to be better when it comes to interaction with each other and marriages. Lazy. See, we have these weddings because it looks good. Everybody eats cake. You give away free booze. Everybody comes and drinks and have a good time, gets drunk. And spending that kind of money of $30,000 average, most of them end up in debt because of it. Because just the event alone, because they work hard on the event, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. They work hard. You see all these videos about these beautiful posh weddings, and the woman will go above and she'll make certain she gets the best wedding dress. She got the best looking bridesmaid and groomsman. Make certain you have the best of everything. Make certain they look good. They work really hard on just the face value of marriage. But when it comes to the actual marriage, you got to work on it. No, why should I work on it? It should work itself out. Then why didn't you have that mindset when it comes to the wedding? Why didn't you just say, hey, you guys show up, I'll buy a couple of beers, turn on some music on the iPhone and iTunes, and we just play some music and let it work out. No, nobody even sees that anymore. Nobody even look at weddings like that anymore. No, all weddings have to be a production, a big event that needs to be broadcast all over the world. They'll work really hard on that. They'll bust their ass for this. And then when it comes to working on the actual wedding itself, you ask them, did you do this? Why do you have to do this? We're married. Well, shouldn't you be doing this to maintain the marriage? You work so hard to pay for all this. Why? We love each other. It should work itself out. Men and women say that, by the way, because men are just as lazy sometimes. But men are simple. They don't want to be bothered. How they start is how they want to continue the marriage. If you're getting a lot of sex, that's why a lot of them make the commitment. If they're having a lot of fun, they want to continue that. Very rarely, other than sex and unhappiness or peace in the house, does a man change what goes on after after someone gets married. They usually want it to stay. Ah, I'm happy here. Let's just leave it there. Just keep looking good. Keep giving me sex. Just keep feeding me to make certain that I'm all right and I'm peace. And don't argue with me and keep the peace. And that's enough for most men. I'm not saying all men. I'm saying most men. Simple. The women, however, you see, both parties don't talk on what their expectations are in a marriage. But when it comes to the wedding, oh, they want to talk. Oh, man, I want the smoke at the bottom. I want the flowers to look like that. They'll talk about every aspect, every fine-tuned thing about a marriage, a wedding. But you ask them about, well, when you get married, are you guys gonna do this? Are you gonna make certain you work out every week, a commitment to work out every week so you stay attractive to your man? Are you gonna make a commitment that you work hard and try to progress, whatever you are doing mentally, intelligence wise? You want to progress physically, ensure that you take care of your body. You want to make certain that you continuously progress in your career. Do you have a plan on that? Do you guys have that discussion? Oh yeah, and how many times you're gonna have sex? How many kids you're gonna have? What kind of house you're gonna live in? Where you're gonna live? Who's gonna do what? Who's gonna play this role? And if they can't do it, who's gonna fill in when that happens? How many times you're gonna date a week? How many times you're going to take care of certain responsibilities that you were taking care of when you're just dating or engaged? How are we going to continuously make ourselves happy, even progress from that bigger and better and greater? Where we want to travel around the world to see? And what's the plan on that and when we're going to get that done? See, nobody has those conversations. But you ask them which songs they want at a wedding, they'll tell you which exact songs are going to play and when they're going to play. They're going to tell you when everybody's going to come down the aisle, what the visually is going to look like. They know everything about their wedding, but they know diddly squat about being married. And they don't care to know. You know why? Because they've been lied to all their lives that this shit is easy. It's not easy because only 75% of them last after 3 years. Only 75% of those who spends $30,000 to buy this lush, beautiful, sexy, unimaginable wedding, all the pomp and circumstance, everything beautiful. And only 75% of them last 3 years. And in 10 years, only 50% of them last. After 7 years, they started, it started getting stale. So all this extra effort putting into a wedding and zero effort putting into a marriage. And it's like nowadays, everybody's more interested in just the event of having a wedding. Nobody wants to be married. They want to work on the marriage. They don't want to keep the marriage going. They want to do what's necessary. You invite everybody in, everybody drinks, have a good old time. They post every video. Oh, black goals, relationship goals. Look at this. They're too beautiful. How many of you went to these two beautiful couples and say, did you get counseling from your prior marriages that fail? Relationships that fail? Are you sure you're over that? Did you have a discussion about what each person's responsibilities in this wedding, this marriage is towards the next person? You'd find that more than 50% of them, the answer is no. They have not discussed a damn thing. They discussed the wedding. Oh, man, if I can get Winnie Wonder to come sing at my wedding, if I can get this person to show up, because it's going to be going blast on Facebook and IG. They'll talk about everything about the wedding. And we ask them specific things that will determine the continuity of the marriage. None of them talk about this. They very rarely discuss How many times a week we're gonna have sex? No, we have to have it more than that. The man. And that's why a lot of idiots cheat on their wives, because they don't have these discussions that grown people should. How many times we date a week? Remember, we used to date this summer. We used to excited. We see each other every day. We want to go out and do things. Are we going to continuously doing that? That's why I would say men lie to women, women lie themselves. Because the men will lie and pretend like nothing is wrong, and the woman will lie to themselves that nothing will ever go wrong. And then it happens. She's unhappy because she's not getting the attention she used to. He's unhappy because, well, he's not getting the sex he used to. And then what you do? You stop talking about the burial plots that you wanted to beat by side to side. You stop talking about the sex and the fun times you had, and you start walking in with disdain when you see this person walking on eggshells, annoyed as hell. You see, the ones that make it, there is, believe it or not, there is a formula for staying married. It's not that hard. It's just most of us are lazy. A Pew study, okay? Research blind study. Research how successful marriages stay successful. And the funny thing, it wasn't that hard. Most people can look it up. Most of you use your YouTube channel and all this stuff to watch silly videos. And when things like this, where I'm trying to help people exist, nobody will share it. Nobody will send to their friends. Nobody will say, come listen to this. But I'm glad we watch all these other nonsensical things that gives you a little laugh or two. And the thing is, the information on how to keep a marriage going is all over the internet. It exists. A lot of you won't even pick up the phone and look at it and look up Google and say, how do I keep my man happy? How do I keep my wife happy? What do I do to sustain a good marriage? How many people do you think have looked that up and have been married? Something tells me probably about 10 to 20% actually did that. And typically it's not both. It's one person who's fed up. Simple little things like that could save a relationship, that could prevent conflict. People seem to be lazy and unaware, or just not intellectually curious about. And then they walk around when things go bad. Oh, men are shit. Women are, I can't stand them. Oh, people don't get, men don't want to get married. They don't want no man. They don't want a good woman. There are no good men out there that wants a good woman like me. I hear it all the time. Neil, where are all the good men? No, Neil, you're different. You're different. Where are all the good men? I said, they are where they always been. The question is, are you a good woman? Very rarely I hear men ask where are all the good women. They usually, I can't bother. It's hard to find the good woman, but And most of those men that actually say that typically is because they don't have their shit together. They're not working on the three fundamental things a man should always work on. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. You should always work on three fundamental things. And the three things is simple. Constantly improve your intelligence. Read, learn something new every day. Constantly work on your physical appearance, meaning be in shape, get in good health, be around for somebody, show somebody that you're healthy to be around for a lifetime for them. And third, constantly work on your life's goal. I'm not going to say career. I'm not going to say make money. I am saying your livelihood, your life's goal, what your purpose here on earth is. Constantly work, and typically that will turn into something lucrative because you know what your life goal is and you have a passion for it, and it will make you a better human being. If a man is not working at 2 out of the 3 of those, actually he should be working on all 3, but if he's not, he'll never be attractive enough to find the right woman. And don't worry, I have one for women too. I always say it. Simple. Keep yourself simple, ladies. Conservative, feminine, agreeable, cooperative, and sexy. Constantly work on that, and you'll always be fine. You'll always look like a wife, and the husband will find you. But you see, nobody wants to do that. Everybody just wants the attention. But when it comes to the work, seems like everybody's like that. So that's why a lot of things don't work out. The event of weddings, of marriages nowadays, just the event of getting married, it to most people seems to be more important than the actual marriage itself. I want my friends to see how my wedding dress is. I want them to see how beautiful the wedding is. So that blind study found that there's the success stories when it comes to marriage, all have some similarities to it. All of them. Easy to find. Go look it up. Easy to find. The thing is, nobody wants to look. The wife, yeah, people are usually get on my case for this. The wife is constantly concerned about her health and the health of the person she's with. Yeah, typical of the wife, because most men, let's be honest, we don't really think about health. But all on the study, they found out the wife is very health conscious. She takes care of herself. She's thinner. She works out. She ensures that our man works out because she wants to keep him interested, and he wants to stay interested in her. All of them that are successful, that has been the case. The woman is always concerned about the man's health, eating the right thing, doing the right thing, maintaining himself the right way, health wise. It's quite simple. Another thing, they either both drink or they either both don't drink. Don't ask me why that's the case. I don't know. I assume they enjoy each other either way, and there's no imbalance there. Where one overdrinks and the other doesn't, and I'm only assuming. Another thing that seemed was quite surprising, but yet I wasn't that surprised. The men participate in the housework duties. I don't know why that is. I kind of have a feeling. I'm feeling that a lot of women are turned on when they see men participating and be proactive in the maintenance of the home. It's a very attractive to most women, and if it's attractive to her, she's more willing to have more sex. And if she's having more sex, you know what that is. The man is always happy because you give men sex. I don't care who he is, he will be happy at least for most of the time. That's just human nature for when it comes to men. So the housework thing, I have a feeling that has plays a big part in it of why those marriages in the Pew Research study, those marriages are more successful than others. Another part of that study says this: the two are constantly talking about a positive future together. That is not surprising at all. When you have an aligned goal for the future, when you see you both see down the same tunnel and see the light at the tunnel, you are both less likely to disturb that light, that journey, less likely to interrupt going down that journey. Because the second you get into something or a disagreement or whatever that might disrupt it, you get whoa. Let's straighten up here. Okay, we have a goal. Let's stick to the goal. Let's not, yeah, let's not let this little stupid little argument or this stupid disagreement get in between us and what we have to do together, what we have to commit, what we have committed to accomplish. You see everything else as silly and small and minute to the greater goal. And so that part was not surprising to me, that most successful couples usually speak and see a positive future. They talk about it, they have a plan for it, and they actually execute it together. It's not surprising why they stay longer. Since 1997, part of this Pew Research study, they've seen that men, which kind of confused me because I know most men want the same thing most women want. We want a stable relationship. We want a marriage or a relationship where we both can progress and build. We want the same thing. But the study found that men's interest in having a marriage, between 1997 to now have dropped from 35%. They actually want to get married very young, 35% down to 29%. And conversely, which is weird, for women, it rose from 28% to 38%. It's very strange. I don't know why that is. Could be several things, because men stop trying to get married, they don't see the interest in it more. They see more the risk, and they're likely to just not even pursue it. And women, now they used to take it for granted, now are going, oh shoot, I want a successful marriage. The older they get, oh yeah, I really do want it. I mean, half of them don't do the work involved in getting it, but they want it bad. So a lot of them stay single, and the longer a man stays single, he's probably going, had a couple kids out of marriage. I want to deal with any woman right now. Dalton, big up, boss. Pleasure. Thank you for joining us, brother. So that's what I notice in this day and age when it comes to marriage, and looking at our research, which I found very interesting, by the way. I realize why today most people are damn lazy. They don't want to. They're not interested in it. For men, I'm talking about, and for women, they end up, like Kevin Samuel says, buying a dog and dying alone. See, women growing up, both men and women, but women specifically, because they're the ones who pay attention the younger they are, they were sold a lie. They were sold the lie that marriage is this easy thing. Don't worry, you're going to get your Boaz. He's going to pop up on this white horse, and he's going to ride in and say, yo, you're my queen. Follow me. And all they have to do is look cute and pretty and put themselves together, like that wedding day, because they work so hard on it. And then when the time comes where the man goes, okay, I got you. You're good. You're here. Okay, you need to work on this. They go, what are you talking about? Work on what? Work on what? What are you talking about? My daddy says I'm a princess, and you're supposed to take care of me. I don't have to do anything. What are you talking about? I look good. Yeah, but you still have certain responsibilities to me. I have responsibilities to you. And then they look at it like, what are you? Nobody told me about the work part of this. That's the lie they were sold by the media, by movies, romantic comedies, etc. And men the same way. Men weren't taught that there's a certain level of responsibility being a man. They think, oh, I'm a man. All I have to do is show up and go, I'm a man. I make some money. I come home. Yeah, you're supposed to go in the kitchen and cook me food. I sit down and you feed me. And then I go to my bed. Burp. Good. I'm good. Good night. All right. Good night. I don't need to do anything. No. Go in there. I'm going to breed you. Yeah, 2 kids. Tell if you sit down and wait till me give you the third. So men were fooled also. They didn't know that our grandparents, you see, the dynamic has changed since our grandparents, but the idea and the ideals haven't. You have a responsibility to each other, and that's where we fail. That's where we fail all the time in this day, modern age. We fail to understand the core basic reason people get married. See, they understood it, but the times were different. The times back then called for how your grandparents were and how your grandmother were, how your grandfather was. The times back in the 70s, if you're in my age group, called for how your grandmother was, how your mother was, and how your father was. And now, this time, right now that we live in, calls for the same ideals, but a different approach. Just like our parents did, just like our grandparents, and even our great grandparents probably had it different than our grandparents, and they probably, stayed together for a long time. My parents were together for 30 years, right? And or 26 years rather, to be exact. And the dynamic had changed where my dad had to learn and did not want to adapt to the new narrative of what marriages should be like and how it should work. Because he did not adapt to it, my mom ended up leaving him. See, you have to adapt to the new era. I mean, the gender roles, the responsibilities, your responsibility as a man to your wife's responsibility as the woman to her husband. See, people don't want to address that. I do. I'm a realist. I want marriages to work, and they can work. And the ones that I see that does work know how to adjust to the time and the situation and the narrative. They know how to adjust to it. Pros of getting married in this day and age. See, marriage is the ultimate showcase of commitment. It's the ultimate way to show stability, that you are a stable human being. You can be, I can coexist with you. When you approach somebody who is married and have a conversation with them, it's somewhat is always different than somebody who's single. Somebody who's single is more frivolous in how they think. They're more free-spirited. They don't think about stability. They'll take any chances. Someone who's married, they're calculated. Successful marriages I'm talking about, of course. People who want to get married, some people who are married. You'll find that people who are married for a while, their approach when it comes to life and events and everything is calculated. They measure the risk because they have so much to live for. They have kids and their wife to get home or whatever. They don't take frivolous risks and make frivolous decisions. No, there's a understanding that, oh yeah, no, I have something to live for, so I can't just do whatever I want. I have somebody I have to talk to and discuss with before I do anything that may jeopardize my stability. They're reliable. People who are married are reliable. People who are not, well, your guess is as good as ours. What may happen, what might not happen. Finances. People who are married understand finances. And it goes back to stability, because you can check with anyone. Check with anyone who is married for a certain time period. There's a certain level of discipline when it comes to finances when you're married than when you're not. See, a lot of times when you're married, when you're not married, you can make decisions. A lot of times people make decisions back and forth. They don't care. They don't even think of the consequences. So they'll go ahead and make any decision, take any amount of risk without being measured, without having a second person look at the situation and say, that's not the right decision at the right time. You probably want to take a step back, babe, before you make that decision. Maybe we need to discuss this a little longer. It's the reason why a lot of women are more in debt. More single women are in debt than when they're single than when they're married. I didn't make this shit up. It's an actual fact. Women are more likely to spend more when they're single. That's why I say a lot of commercial things I see on TV, whatever, they promote you being single. They don't promote you getting married. They don't want you ladies to get married, especially black women. No, black women spend more than most other races per capita. I mean, if they, percentage to what they have to what they spend. Doesn't mean that, oh, well, white people have more money. No. See, they are measured. Most of them are measured. I didn't make this up, by the way. There's actual facts and figures to this. Check out blackdemographics.com. It's all there. Black women spend more money than any other race in terms of percentage money they have to what they spend. They want you to stay single because guess what? You stay single, you spend more money. You spend more money, they make more money. They make more money, they can promote you spending more money. They're happy and you're like in debt. A lot of you, yes, you get the ability to go to school, but a lot of you're in debt for it. And you don't even go to school for something that will help you pay off your debt. A lot of you just go to school just to go to school. There's no major thought in your degree. So a lot of you end up with major school debt. So yes, another reason why it's good to have be in a good marriage is for your financial health. Two people are easier to build wealth long term than one person. I don't even have to tell you that's basic math. Two, one. Two people can come up with an idea that creates longevity in wealth than one person. One person having a bad time with their credit, the other person is good. The other person can get the loan, the other person can't. One person can help buy a house, the other person can't. So they get a house in their name, they build wealth from that house, pay off that house, buy another house, have that house for their kids to pass on so the kids don't have to struggle just to buy a house or build their own wealth. So they have us, they get started. What's up, David? Big up, brother. My Haitian brother. So this is the reason why, and again, financial health is super important when it comes to marriage and being single. There's a huge difference. You can begin to build the type of wealth that you can leave as a legacy for your kids, making it easier. Children, why is marriage better than when you're single? See, that one is not hard because the studies have shown that in a two-parent household than a single-parent household, kids are less likely to be on drugs, less likely to be in gangs, less likely to drop out of school, and less likely if they're a female to have, or a male, to have teenage pregnancies. It's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. This is simple facts and figures that anyone can look up themselves. This is one of the reasons why we go out and find a spouse. This is why it's less riskier. Life in long term, from a long-term perspective, is less riskier and more chance of being successful in life with a partner next to you that you have legally signed the paper. And when I say legally signed the paper, that comes to my next thing: health. Because when you have somebody next to you that is signed off, no, not your mother, not your father, because they're not around. Your kids went on to do their own thing. When you have somebody in your corner, health-wise, that is vested in your ability to stay alive and be of good health, that person is likely to make good decisions about your welfare. So what do I mean? If you're sick, you just have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and you're in your deathbed, and they have to make certain decisions about whether to pull a plug or whether to make certain decisions because you're in a coma. Your significant other cannot make those decisions unless they are legally binding to you as a spouse. They'll find your mother, then your kids, and then your siblings. Not necessarily in that order, but whoever's available. But you could be living with a person for 5, 10, 15 years, and no, you can't make any decisions. And also, if anything happens to them, no, you are not entitled to anything. It goes to those people first, and then maybe if they're nice enough to you, they'll give you something. It is said that somebody who is married, when they have to go through life-threatening illness, will recover quicker than somebody who is single and has nobody around. Maybe a family member come and check on them. Maybe their kids watch over them. But there's nothing better than somebody who fully is invested in you personally. That's the wealth of being married. you not only protect yourself health wise, because you see, if something is wrong and this person is constantly hugging you, they see your face every single day, they know every smile that you make, every frown, they know when you're in a good mood, they're in a bad mood, they know how your body's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to feel. If there are any changes and you're married, that person is the first person to recognize it. I've said this story many times before. My wife, as a nurse, she has seen it so many times where she has talked to couples who have come in for a wife that had cancer, breast cancer, and it was the husband hugging her or feeling on her breast or touching her and felt something different, and the one who said, "Babe, you need to check this out. There's a little heart thing here." And saved her life because they coexisted. See, somebody you might be in a romantic relationship or even a relationship might not go that far. They might not feel it, and because they don't see you every day. They're not committed to you every day. So a lot of times they probably don't even know. Somebody who sees you at work might notice certain things, but they're not feeling on you. They're not part of your life, so they're not gonna know. So the benefits of being married way outweighs for me being single, especially at this age, because I'm up there. Midlife numbers. And here's the biggest and most important reason why I believe marriage is super, super important for our community. And notice what I said, our community. That's my next thing. Survival of our community as not only Jamaicans, not only Caribbeans, but Black people. Period. We fall into that category too. Most of us from the Caribbean. Marriage helps our communities stick together, build together, grow together, as opposed to a single family, a single person with kids running around. There's something when two people are married. Here's the thing, because I know this even with my marriage, and the reason why I even started something like this. When you're married, others see you as an example of stability, an example that they can live by, something that they can look forward to. So when you're working on your marriage and you have a successful marriage, those things, those hashtags you always see, relationship goals, that's your community telling you that they look up to you, that you are somebody that we respect because of how you have been able to create something that wasn't there, maintain it with a certain level of respect, and put forward the effort to make it what it is, where someone can look at it and say, I want that. I've had people say it to me all the time, Neil, I want what you have. Damn, how do I get that? I had women look at me and said, Neil, not a lot of men like you. How do I find a guy like you? I don't know what that means, but that's what they say. Because the optics of a good marriage, forget the actuality of whether the marriage is good or not, but the optics of having a good marriage in a community inspires the community to be better than they are individually. It inspires people when they see you together. They're like, they say it all the time when they see Anna and I out. Man, you guys look good together. It's a feel-good moment for them. And a lot of them like, I want that. Some of them might be jealous, but most of them, I want that. Yeah, what you have is different. You two guys are perfect. And I have to convince them, that's why I do this show, that no, Anna and I, we might seem unique, but we're not. We're just two people from two different areas, two different kinds. Anna and I could not be different in how we were raised. She's just a woman that approached me and I approached, and she bought a house for me and I got to know, and I found it was necessary. We both looked at each other and said, we find it necessary to coexist and try to work this out so we both can coexist for each other and build together. That's all it is. No, it's not a magic thing. It's not, fantasy. We saw each other, look at each other and go, damn, you're just for me. I love at first sight. Oh, damn, you're just for me. You're exactly what I want. Oh, you're exactly what. We couldn't be more different. If I get into the difference, you'll be ridiculously like surprised. I'm talking from religion all the way down to how we want to, what kind of bed we want to sleep in, what kind of foods we like. But we saw the benefits of coexisting. We saw where each other played an important role in the other's happiness, stability, reliability, and care. We saw where what we how we us coexisting with each other can make our lives better than if we existed by ourselves. And that's where a lot of people fail. They don't see the future. They don't see the possibilities. They don't want to see the possibilities because part of it requires them to work. And most people don't want to work. When it comes to relationships, they want it to coexist and just work itself out because that's what they were told. Everything is microwave. We should click 30 seconds and the relationship should just work itself out. And the fact is, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. This generation, the millennial generation, just a different generation. I've never seen anything like that. Their outlook on life is so skewed. I'm just weird. And it's because of how they were raised. Because a lot of us, including myself, have to take responsibility of how we talked about marriage, romance, relationships. Part of it is social media and the time we're in, but it's our responsibility to teach each one of them. And I have a few examples of few millennials that are doing the right things. A few of them that I watched grew up and I even helped raise that are married and so, and I'm proud of them. But it's our responsibility, even if we are single, to teach these younger ones that it is better to do it together than apart. Not only that, if it's your kids, you'll realize that they will have a better life if they are two, if they're an entity, than if they're individual. And they have a responsibility to maintain and ensure the progression and flourishing of that relationship so they can pass that example down to the next generation. Don't forget what I say, marks for gentlemen, marks, match our efforts, always be honest, respect your time, keep your word, and most of all, stay content when you do those things. That's marks. For the women, facts, FACS, stay feminine, super important, agreeable, cooperative, and sexy. Constantly work on your body and yourself, self-esteem. Those are the true me. Have yet to be challenged this. No, I don't mind being challenged, but those are the true means of maintaining a relationship. And the rest is a personality thing. Just have to be a nice person, period. Try to wake up with a positive outlook, and your goal is to make that other person happy, and reciprocally, they will do the same to you. I want to thank you guys for joining me on our Real Deal Chat with Neil and staying this hour. I know that I came on a little late, but a lot of people have come on and off, and I really appreciate the support. Share, subscribe, whatever you can. I really need the support. I try to stay positive, try to teach you what I've learned, and hopefully it will make the create an environment where you can be the best version of yourself, and we can learn from each other. I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week at 8 p.m. Right after this, I'm going on IG Live for the IG After Chat. I hope you can join me on that at Neil the Real _Deal. Okay? Thank you very much and have a good night. I want to thank everybody that joined us. Q, David, Pelton, Anna, love you, and everyone that I didn't see that comment. I appreciate your support. And if you can share this and let others know that we're on, and we would love to have your support. We would love to have your support and bring this to a bigger community so we can have better two-family homes we can have people who are looking for this kind of message for it to actually reach them. So I want to thank you again for being there. And this is a real deal chat with Neil. See you next week at 8 p.m. Have a wonderful night, and I wish you my kind of happiness. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.